San Diego, John, you're on the Savage Nation.
Yes, Savage. Sir Savage and Teddy, greetings. And I'm just saying to you that the Queen should have knighted you instead of them banning you in the UK.
That's right. Instead of blighting me, the UK should have knighted me for saying what they needed to hear, because they're losing their country. I agree with you, John. Exactly. But nothing's changed. John, I have spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on that lawsuit, and it's with help from people like you, to my legal fund and my own money, with no help from anybody in the American radio industry. Nobody in the radio industry has come to my aid. Nobody. And I'm the only member of the American media who's ever been banned from a Western nation. They could care less. They're happy it happened to me. So I have no faith anymore in the American media, nor any faith in the American legal system. No faith whatsoever. Maybe I'm a realist.
State those things and give an alarm and a warning to a people who were departing from those principles and that culture, which made them a great empire. And I see you doing the same thing for America, and I believe America is going to respond the same way. I'm confident of it. And I look at your show, and I say your show should be number one. And that it's not is a testimony to the fact that, no, we're lost, it's done, it's a loose tooth falling out, it's over, because they don't want to hear these things.
Well, I'm on some pretty darn good stations. I'm not on some good stations. The show starts late in the day, early in the evening. And for what it is, it still has an awesome, large audience. But the thing for you to know, John, is this, and I think this is the proof is in the pudding. When Trickle Up came out in October, I was a little hesitant. I didn't know how well it would do, because the fact of the matter is I actually had started to believe my own enemies. I'm going to be honest with you. I said this on the show before. I had thought that my audience had, by and large, walked away from me. I thought that the show was sort of a little out of it. I didn't know. I really had no way of knowing. You can't gauge these things. When I saw that book rise to number one on Amazon, it not only amazed me, it invigorated me. It gave me a new lease on life, John. And also when it went to number 3 on the New York Times and number 3 on the Wall Street Journalist, I said my audience is still there for me, and they care about me, and they care about my books. So therefore, people are listening to the show, John. So I am rejuvenated. It's just that right now I'm a little exhausted from business problems, from legal attacks, from vicious situations in my life, which I will divulge one day, and you'll all come to understand what I've been living through. My body is starting to react to it, and so therefore everyone has their limits, and I'll take a vacation, I'll come back rejuvenated, and life will go on, that's all.
But the simple fact is nobody excels beyond your scholarship, your academia, your research, your intelligence, the knowledge that you provide, the information, until it just outstrips everybody else, until people aren't just like, this is the number one show. I look at it and I say, yeah, I see where they are. They're not. It's not going to make.
Well, look, I can't react to it and say thank you or disagree with you. Obviously, I enjoy the compliment. The fact of the matter is, every talk show has its own kind of audience, and then there's an overlap between shows. So many of the same people who might listen to various others would then tune into this show at the end of the day and get a different take on things and have it in my unique perspective. It doesn't mean that I have to say I'm better. I mean, I really do think that I'm the Mozart, and I think that the others at best are the Salieri, and I think they know it. I think that the best of them know that they're only Salieri, because they know that their range is limited, and that's the end of it. I was given a great gift, and I have many, many years of education, and I also have a great voice, and I use it. But that doesn't mean that it's me. I'm a vehicle for something else, and the vehicle is that something else, I believe, is a voice that is part of the voice of one of the voices in the chorus trying to save the country. I'm not singing alone here. I'm part of a chorus. I'm just a different voice in that chorus. Maybe you like my voice better. Maybe it stands out more sharply than the other voices, but make no mistake about it. I'm one of many singing the tune that we better save this country from the scoundrels.
What you're saying is true, but the fact is there's just more information coming down your show. And in this desperate and really dark time for America, there should be a hunger and a thirst for it in a way that I'm not seeing. So what you're saying...
Let me give you an example. I just want to go in a sidetrack, not to stay on me for a minute, which is very difficult being the business I'm in. I was watching the prelude to World War II for about the 50th time the other night on Military History, and they came up with a new one that was astounding to me. It was about Neville Chamberlain appeasing Hitler. Now, I had known that he appeased Hitler, and I know that Obama is at best a Neville Chamberlain. In fact, I even said it before his ascension to power, when I knew he had won against McCain. I said, by what I'm seeing, let's hope that he's only Neville Chamberlain. I think he's much worse than Neville Chamberlain. But let's go back to Neville Chamberlain. Now, Germany has just invaded the Sudetenland. Germany has now taken over that region of Czechoslovakia virtually without firing much weaponry. It was almost a bloodless coup taking over. But Germany at that time was not ready for World War. Germany was told, Hitler was told by his own generals that the troops are not ready, the military's not ready, the tanks can't be moved quick enough, we don't have the transportation equipment for a campaign against these countries, don't do it. And the generals were afraid of one thing. They were afraid that France and England would step in to protect Czechoslovakia should they invade it. Chamberlain goes to Germany, Munich, and he has a treaty with Hitler. He comes back, he appeases Hitler, and he shows the treaty. And then the narration of this series says, owing to Chamberlain's naivete and pacifism, Hitler was emboldened, and the rest is history. In other words, had England had the conservative Winston Churchill in place at that time, instead of this Neville Chamberlain Obama-like character, Hitler would have been stopped in his tracks before he invaded because they would have stood up to him, and that could have changed the course of human history. Do you see what I'm getting at?
But here's what I suspect.
But wait, but let me finish the thought for 1 minute. So what I'm saying is, I'm trying to tell America that we are being strangled, triangulated from external forces that would destroy us, from internal forces that are destroying us, and unless we get a Winston Churchill, we're going to die as a nation if we have not died already. That's my point.
But I believe definitely 1913 Federal Reserve, since these world orders have been working to establish this, and I believe we're moving into something worse than mere socialism or Marxism or fascism or communism, but the crown of it is a theocracy, a beast religion that is coming. I believe we're in Revelation, and it's coming, and that everybody's sitting back and seeing it's not quite socialism, and like in China, they're ready to compromise, they're ready to capitulate, and where they're going to find themselves at the end is a total dominance. And so World War II is the example, but I believe something far, far worse is coming.
Well, in a certain sense, you're right. I don't even think World War II is the correct model. I believe that China has already triangulated us. They own all of our treasuries. They own most of our consultants, like Henry Kissinger. Let me go down the list. Henry Kissinger, Madeleine Albright. Half of the former State Department directors are now working day and night to make sure China has a greater grip on our nation. Oh, yeah, I think they've gone much further than without firing a shot. They've used all of the tenets of their great philosophers. They're defeating us without firing a shot. And in that sense, God only knows what we could wake up to one day. I'll be right back.
Savage.